Good journey, everyone. Welcome to Space Oats Live. I am the Crucial Crew member, Jay, joining you tonight. I think Wednesday is going to be my new night. Honestly, I think it's going to happen. Just because I always get really tired on Tuesday nights, just from being in the parks all day or doing whatever. Yesterday, actually, it was just a rough day all around. Yesterday, woke up with a really bad migraine, pretty much slept until 12 o'clock. And then just sat around and watched TV for a little bit, tried to get my head together. And then we went down to Disney Springs for the evening. Yeah, and by the time I got home, I was just like done. So I didn't really feel like doing this, but I wanted to. Like I woke up, I like took a nap, woke up, it was like 9 o'clock. I was like, I can still get it together. But I really didn't have anything together. I had like nothing, no ideas what I was going to do. There was a lot of things that I still hadn't figured out what I wanted to talk about. So I skipped it. I skipped it. Apologies if this is not going to work for Wednesday nights, but you can always watch it later. You can always watch it later. Subscribe to this channel. Hit those notifications though. That way you can see me on Wednesday nights, because Wednesday nights looks like it might be a better night for me. 10 o'clock seems to be good. So yeah, welcome to Space Oats Live, a Star Wars podcast. Again, I'm the Crucial Crew member, Jay, and we got a lot of Star Wars to talk about. Isn't it great when we have Bad Batch or something on right now? Because then we get to talk about episodes. But then we got so much more stuff to talk about. There's classic video games coming back. There's card games. There's new audiobooks in the works. There's new comics based on Visions. So much stuff. I got a crucial character pick, and then we're going to talk about last week's episode of The Bad Batch. Not this week's 2 episodes that were released today. I totally forgot. We're like mid-season already. It's coming to a close so fast. But yeah, we had 2 episodes this week, but we're not going to talk about those 2 episodes because I don't know if you've watched those episodes yet. So we're going to talk about last week's episode, The Return. We'll talk about that one. And yeah, that was a much needed episode. But before we get to that, we got our normal Not Long Ago in This Galaxy segment, which happens almost every day on my Instagram page, The Crucial Crew Member. So if you follow me there, you see that I post something happened in Star Wars history. I usually post that each and every day. Yeah, also I do it live. From my car, from my drive to work. I'll do it live, and we'll talk about something that happens in Star Wars history, maybe a couple things, but we usually focus on one. Because today we have a few things. Today we had a couple things that happened in Star Wars history. I looked at these other 2 that actually just kind of happened, actually the same year, I think, 2020. Yeah, we had I think. I don't know if this is right or not, though. Sometimes I look at the dates and I'm like, I'm not really sure if this is the right date or not. And I didn't get a chance to actually verify this because I just saw this kind of pop up on other sites, because it's not what I was focusing on. Not what I was focusing on. What I'm focusing on is the picture back there, Elstree Studios. We'll talk about that in a minute, what happened in history with that. But not long ago in this galaxy, the Star Wars The Clone Wars episode Counterattack aired on Disney Plus. Yeah, that was a season 7 episode, Counterattack, I believe. And then the soundtrack for the first 4 episodes of Star Wars The Clone Wars season 7 was released. So the first 4 episodes. So I think Counterattack was the 4th episode of season 7. And then soundtrack for the first 4 episodes released on that same day, including that episode, I believe. I believe that's how it worked. But season 7 was an amazing season. We talked about some of season 7 last week, I believe, or the other day on my Instagram live. We did that. But season 7 was an amazing episode. A lot of great story arcs with season 7. Oh no, actually, we were talking about season 6, because there were some great things about season 6 as well. I mean, all the Clone Wars seasons were great, weren't they? And the Bad Batch is right up there with it. So, but yeah, we're midway through Bad Batch. But going back to Elstree Studios, Elstree Studios. So 1979, the year yours truly was born. Um, Filming at Elstree began March 13th, 1979 for The Empire Strikes Back. So, yeah. The production was, I think it was, I can't remember which documentary it was, but there's a documentary out there that like really like shows how just difficult it was to film Empire Strikes Back. But it was already behind schedule because they didn't have stage 3 at Elstree Studios because I think they were filming The Shining in January and the stage caught fire. Um, so that stage completely destroyed, and the Star Wars stage obviously was going to be there, and that was very behind schedule in its production. So that was incomplete. And also, yeah, it didn't have any protection from cold weather. So, we're talking March in England, kind of cold there. I don't know if you've ever been to England before, but it is pretty chilly in that neck of the woods. So, but yeah, they pretty much had to work out of any available space. So they had to find time and basically just get on board with whatever they had. So yeah. But it began today, March 13th, 1979, not long ago in this galaxy. That is your little bit of history of Star Wars for the day. But yeah, so pretty cool there, right? I'm gonna go ahead and flip to a little bit of awesome news that we have. A little bit of awesome news that we have that basically is gonna get released tomorrow. Tomorrow. Um, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. Talked about this a little while back, but we uh, we had a launch trailer actually get released with it. I don't know if you watched the launch trailer. The launch trailer was really awesome. You can watch it from on StarWars.com. But yeah, it actually gets released tomorrow, right? I think, yeah, right. Or is it? Yeah, March 14th. So tomorrow. Tomorrow this gets released. Both of the classic Star Wars Battlefront games, Battlefront tomorrow on pretty much all of your favorite video game platforms. Um, any of your Xbox, PlayStations, Nintendo Switches, um, PC via Steam, all sorts of those things. All like around $35. So for both games, not too shabby. Great games. Great games. Planning on getting that at some point. So Battlefront Classic Collection arrives tomorrow. So I'm sure we'll be having some fun with that one. Be great once we have it. We can maybe hook up, get some gaming going. I have an Xbox, by the way, so we can go live, sharing some battles. Battle the Crucial Crew member. Um, Another bit of gaming. This one was actually just released, I believe, a couple days ago. I think it was last week actually that this came out. Let's see. I think it was March 8th. It was available. So it's almost been a week now because it was like last Thursday was the 8th, right? Something like that. But yeah, Star Wars Unlimited. Um, One of those cool card games. Um, yeah, you can choose your side, dark side, light side. The initial campaign there, Spark of the Rebellion. You can choose to be the Empire, fight the Empire, crush the Rebellion, whatever you want to do. But yeah, these new battle. I don't know where they're available. I don't know if you have to get them online or if they're anywhere in stores. I haven't been able to see where they're at yet. I haven't been anywhere. I was actually in Walmart today. I should have ran through and seen if they were there today. If I'd have seen it, I probably would have picked it up. But Yeah, so each each pack comes with 2 decks, and then so you have the Luke Skywalker deck, which includes key Rebel Alliance characters like Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, and then you have the Imperial deck, which includes Grand Moff Tarkin, Emperor Palpatine, General Veers, um, all sorts of cool stuff. And so basically very heavy on the original trilogy with this first set, but you'll be able to get booster packs, which will give you new leaders like General Leia Organa, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Admiral Akbar, new bases of command like Echo Base on Hoth. So yeah, kind of looking forward to maybe getting that and playing that. I think I might be into that one. So we'll see. We'll see about that. If I can find it, just gotta find it. I'm sure you can find it online, but a lot of times I don't usually buy online. Just wait till I see something tangible and then I purchase it. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. As far as extra new stories that are coming to play, we have a new High Republic audiobook. This is actually specifically an audiobook that's getting released for Star Wars The High Republic. Tempest Breaker by Kevin Scott. It's going to be narrated by a full cast, which has been done. This actually doesn't come out until December 3rd. So we got this one's a ways off, but getting us excited about that for this. And there's going to be physical and ebook editions of the script following this in spring of 2025, but it's actually going to get released first as the audiobook. So but yeah, I mean, it joins in a bunch of other classic audio dramas. We had the Battle of Jeddah. There was a Dr. Aphra audio book, and then Kevin Scott also did Dooku Jedi Lost. So yeah, so this is the cover. This is kind of like an exclusive break of that cover with Lorna D is the Twi'lek. And then so she joined the Nile. Yeah, so pretty cool to have this story with a full cast. That's the cool thing. Like having different people narrate the different voices, and then the main narrator of the publication of the cast of the story. Is cool to be able to have something like that. So kind of brings us back to that audio drama day, right? With the audio drama, I love the audio dramas. So kind of looking forward to checking that out. I think it'll be a different take on the High Republic. We've had little bits of here and there outside of the publications. We've gotten to see the High Republic via the Young Jedi Adventures, but nothing really else from the High Republic era yet. So this will be interesting to actually get to hear adult versions of the characters and actually get to hear them interact with each other. Not physically see them yet. We're going to get that a little bit later with like the Acolyte, because I think that is going to be our first taste of the High Republic era on screen. But I mean, we got a little bit of it from Survivor, because the flashbacks. So that was like during the High Republic era, which was really neat to be able to see some of that as well. Get a better feel for it. So getting little bits of here and there to kind of give us a better taste of the High Republic era. But yeah, so December is the release of that. So a little bit ways off of that one for as well. So Oh, I thought I did. Here it is. Let me share this because this is another release that is coming out. Um, so Star Wars Visions. We all remember Visions Volume 2, or this was Visions Volume 1, wasn't it? Yeah, this was from Visions Volume 1. This was from the original Star Wars Visions. Um, one of the best stories, I think. And I think that's why we're getting new stories from this character, the Ronin. So we got a new kind of a preview of specifically the cover, for one thing, of this new story from the Ronin character. Um, it's kind of like a prequel. I guess, like, I think that's what it seems like it's going to be, like, of the character's Sith origins. Um, so yeah, lots of red lightsabers amongst the black and white, which is one of the things that just made this so amazing. Like, I loved this this short story when it came to Visions. Probably my favorite of season 1. But yeah, so we're gonna get this coming out. There's a little bit of an excerpt online on StarWars.com where you can look through a little bit of the comic and some of the story, just kind of get an excerpt from it. But yeah, this is the cover right here, so looks pretty amazing. Can't wait to see that come out and see this new short story that's going to take place. So pretty awesome there. And now let's go ahead and dive into the Bad Batch. Why don't we? Let's go ahead and dive into the Bad Batch. Bad Batch is at its mid-season right now, but we're going to talk about last week's episode, just in case you haven't watched the 2 episodes that came out this week. We're going to dive into the return from last week. The return took us back to a couple different planets that we've already seen before. It started out on Pabu. So we see it started, that obviously it was a very uplifting but not sure ending the week before this one because, everybody was reunited, but then Crosshair was reunited. So we didn't know it was really we knew that it was all going to come back together because, we saw in the trailers that Crosshair had his armor back on. So you kind of like knew that they were going to probably be getting back together um, as a team again at some point. But how that was going to happen, we didn't really know. And this episode, The Return, was a great episode to kind of, especially with that title. We were returning to locations that we've seen before. We were returning to more or less the original Clone Force 99. And yeah, and how did we get there? And this kind of helped us to get back to that point. With everything that had happened and Crosshair being so gone for so long from the team. How is he going to be brought back into the group? And it starts off, we really didn't. It wasn't like every all hugs and kisses at first. So like everybody still wasn't really sure in the beginning. When we first see everybody, they're on Pabu, bringing Crosshair there, which was, there was some doubts about that. Because some were still doubting if he was really still working for the Empire or not. But really kind of putting faith in Omega and her trust in Crosshair. And really that's where it kind of shouldered on, really all on Omega's her faith in Crosshair and coming back and being good this time, turning on the Empire. The biggest clash was between Crosshair and Hunter, which took a while, the majority of the episode, for them to kind of, get back. And that was like the top like theme of the story of them seeing eye to eye, which I'm actually just watching right now. And literally, as I said that, they were looking at each other, kind of at the end of the episode, when they first kind of like realized that they did it as a team, and they're, back together as brothers. So it was funny that actually happened in that moment when I just said that. But learning to trust each other again was something that was a big thing. So they like I said, they returned to a couple different planets. They returned to Pabu. The beginning of the episode, they go to Barton 4, which was the ice planet with the ice vultures. And then we get a little bit of a new bit of wildlife on the planet that we didn't know about before. That's which is kind of strange because of the way, I guess maybe it migrated into the area since the last time we saw that planet, because it's kind of funny that it wasn't there and they were traveling outside of the base compound on that planet the first time. But it's an abandoned base now, which kind of was in the last episode. But that's kind of where Crosshair kind of began his turn on the Empire, was that episode. So it's a great kind of finalization of him really kind of saying goodbye to his previous life now, and like kind of going back. And I don't know what he like maybe had hoped for going there, but yeah, so I mean that's where he previously basically killed that Imperial officer. So but yeah, again, like, so I mean it starts off a lot with Omega, and her trust in Crosshair really being the only one kind of standing by him in the beginning on Pabu. Their friendship getting tighter and tighter, which is very important to this week's episodes. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about this week's episodes, but it has a lot to do with Crosshair's acceptance by others as well, with which how their relationship has bonded each other. So it's really cool to see how they are so different, but then also they're becoming more alike as well. Especially at the end of the previous episode, Omega kind of relinquishing how to get things done to Crosshair at the end of that episode, and really helping him out in this episode a lot, with that shoulder to kind of that crutch to get back to where he was, being a brother among the Clone Force 99. So obviously Omega being the one to first reach out to Crosshair and stay with Crosshair and kind of rehabilitate him back into the right path, and that being really what gets everybody else to start to trust Crosshair as well. So that Crosshair and Omega relationship, really important, seeing that in this episode. There was a couple things in this episode that, again, Crosshair back, we're back to that original Clone Force 99 group, but obviously we're still missing one important character, that being Tech. And that was made mention again this week. That, the loss of Tech still kind of lingering on everybody's mind, wishing he was there for certain tasks that that they had with the encrypted data pad that was taken by Omega, that Lama Su gave her to help her escape. Trying to figure that out, and not having Tech with them. That is what makes them want to go or need to go to Barton 4. Is because in order to get it to work, you have to have an Imperial hookup, kind of like in The Mandalorian when they were trying to find Moff Gideon's ship, and the only way to really get, I think that was what the reason was, they had to go to that planet and basically plug into an Imperial station in order to get through the encryption. So similar to that, so we're kind of seeing like a parallel story there. But of course, instead of going into the heart of Imperial territory where the operations are still ongoing, you're going to an abandoned base. Of course, they didn't know that. They didn't know that when they went there, when they were heading there. But it ended up being abandoned by the time they got there. So, but yeah, definitely the loss of Tech. I mean, it was really shown in when he was mentioned, and it kind of just like we had like a moment of silence for Tech there afterwards. So, nice little moment there as well. So, but this moment was also a pretty cool moment. The gift that that Wrecker handed to Crosshair being his old armor. So, which was obviously we knew that was going to happen. We saw in the trailer Crosshair with his old armor. So it was nice to be able to see that moment back when Wrecker saying they really couldn't think of getting rid of it. Always that hope. Star Wars has so much of that theme of hope, and them handing that to him and him opening it up, and a really cool, touching moment. Kind of really solidifies that Wrecker is on board with Crosshair being back at that point. We still don't know about Hunter at this point. It still takes the majority of the episode for them to see eye to eye, literally, as I had mentioned, happens a little bit later in the episode. So, but that was a great moment as well. It's great to see Crosshair back in that armor for the rest of the episode. So, really cool to be able to see that. Still fit him very well. And then we get the somebody else had mentioned this on another podcast that I listened to, but it was interesting that this episode came out the same week that Dune Part 2 was released. And Dune Part 2, if you're a big Dune fan, I love Dune. I haven't seen Part 2 yet, but was going to go see it last week, but ended up not. But big with the worms on Arrakis, right? And we get worms that are kind of like the worms on Arrakis. Not as big, but it was kind of funny that this happened the same week. This was released the same week as the release of Dune Part 3 or Part 2. I almost want to think that maybe they purposefully gave us 3 episodes in order for it to line up the first week, the 3 episodes, so that scheduling, I just wonder if there's anything involved with that. But these huge monster worms, we have tons of giant creatures in the Bad Batch, especially this season. But really almost every time they go to a different planet, they have these big creatures they have to deal with. And this was really what brought Hunter and Crosshair together. Them working together to defeat this worm, trusting each other and helping each other out, saving each other's life basically with this worm. So cool action sequence. Again, this episode is kind of like one of those side adventures, but a needed side adventure to move the story forward so that it can show that they are tight as a team and that they're trusting each other. Because you can't just go with that. You got to have something happen gradually for them to put trust into Crosshair. And this is pretty much solidifies by the end of this episode the fact that they trust each other as brothers, and everything that happens in this episode gets them to that point. After that moment, Crosshair and Hunter, you know, defeating the worm, they finally break down and talk to each other. Kind of have that clearing of the air. Why Crosshair did what he did, why he went the direction he went, and kind of just expresses his guilt for everything that he has done. Siding with the Empire, going against his brothers, all of that. And Hunter is accepting of that. So Hunter, forgives him. There's no more anger there. Everybody's made mistakes. That's basically what he throws out there as well. Nobody's perfect. We just I love the quote there. All we can do is keep trying to be better, which is that's just a great quote for anybody. But a really great ending to the episode, showing that forgiveness among the Brotherhood, and we move forward with the amazing 2 episodes that we had that were released this week. But definitely this was very much needed. We get to return to New Planet, to recur planets that we've seen before, not in the Bad Batch, but in the Clone Wars, next in this week's episodes that were released. So just a little bit of a fun fact there if you haven't watched it yet. But I'll let you watch it. It's a great 2 episodes. And we'll talk about those next week. So yeah, that's Bad Batch: The Return. I would say that was a great episode. I'm really loving the season so far. So can't wait to see how the rest of the season comes to the fold, because it's starting off great with the 2 episodes that were released this week. So and then we also have some merch. Some merch that was released. Give me one moment here, because I want to I'm going to scroll through some of this merch. So I want to just kind of get this on the page here. But so it is March, and there is kind of like a merchandise push, if you were to say, from Disney, from Lucasfilm. And we are calling it Star Wars: The Imperial March, with some great releases all month long, mostly toys, apparel, and other things themed to the villains of the Star Wars galaxy. Now, not everything is themed to the villains of the Star Wars galaxy, but there's going to be a lot of villains merch. Some of the items, I'll go through these. I mean, nothing really stood out to me big time. This is a pretty cool shirt, but honestly, if I was going to buy a shirt right now, I would buy one of the Star Wars shirts designed by Ashley Eckstein that are out right now. I saw the one at Disney Springs last night and almost bought it, but a little bit pricey. I don't know. I do get a discount, but I don't know. The I Am No Jedi one, but it actually was like a script from that episode from the Clone Wars, and it looks pretty cool. But for the quality of that shirt, I don't know if I was ready to pay like almost $65 for it. But anyway, this is just a t-shirt, Star Wars Imperial March. Again, yeah, you can get this on Amazon. This is on Amazon, I believe. Yeah, so that is available. We also have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Black Series 3-pack. So we got the Cal Kestis Inquisitor vision that happened in the game with the second sister Inquisitor and also the Purge Trooper. So yeah, pretty cool looking. I like the Inquisitor look and the Purge Trooper. I don't know if I really like the Cal Kestis, but the Inquisitor looks really cool, and so does the Purge Trooper. So, but if you're into the Black Series, they are available for pre-order March 14th at 1 p.m. Exclusively on Amazon as well. And then they become available later on in the spring for purchase. So we also have a Micro series, Micro Galaxy by Jazzwares. This is only at Target. This release, again, this isn't really villains, but this is a 25 anniversary release for the Phantom Menace. Remember, that's happening, so we're going to get a lot of merch from the Phantom Menace this year as well. So it even says on the side of that package it's the Episode 1 collection. So my guess is that Jazzwares is going to have a lot of Episode 1 releases in their Micro series, their Micro Galaxy series. So we have the N1 Starfighter featuring Anakin Skywalker and R2-D2, kind of taking after that end scene of Phantom Menace when Anakin and R2 commandeer the N1 Starfighter and save the day. Star Wars Classic Collection by Oxford Pennant. I knew nothing about this company, but apparently they do lots of Star Wars. But they do have 2 new pennants and banners featuring the dark side. We have the Death Star pennant, and then the Imperial Cog banner, which I was really liking the Imperial Cog banner until I saw how much it was. Things a little bit over $200. So I don't know how big that thing is, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to be purchasing that once I found out how much that was. Not that much into it. Star Wars The High Republic downloadable poster set. So, for your wallpaper and your backgrounds, have you. They're free. We're going to get this as well as some other posters as well. I don't know. I'm trying to think of where this is available. Oh, it looks like if you actually just go to the website and click on that, it'll just download it right away. So, yeah, pretty cool if you're into the High Republic and you want a cool background for your computer or whatnot. You can go ahead and download that. So, but yeah, those are just some of the releases that have happened thus far, and looking for more to come, especially with some Phantom Menace merch, the 25-year anniversary, as well as all sorts of some other villainous stuff that we're going to get at some point. So I was on a StarWars.com the other day, and there, how they have those quizzes and things. They had a quiz for what's your ideal Star Wars found family, kind of like where you would be in the galaxy if you were part of the Star Wars galaxy. And it kind of ended up I got what I thought I would get, honestly, because I always said that I love Star Wars Rebels. I grew up during the original trilogy. Everything catered to me. It would be me joining the Rebel Alliance. Real world, would that happen? Probably not. But I would probably agree more with the Rebel Alliance than anything else. But yeah, it's a fun little quiz that happens. I do cater more to the Rebel Alliance, maybe on the smuggler side, the Han Solo-esque side. But honestly, I probably would have an everyday job and probably stay out of all of it and just try to get by, making my way in the galaxy. Is really what I would probably end up doing. But yeah, I know that's one of the podcasts I listen to. That's one of the questions that's asked is where would you be? Where would you fit in? in the Star Wars galaxy. And yeah, I mean, I would like to say the Rebel Alliance, but most likely I'd just be some regular schmo in the galaxy. Speaking of regular schmoes in the galaxy, brings us kind of to our crucial character pick of the week. As I always do, I do like 2 of these a month. One of them is kind of like a favorite background character, and then like right now I'm doing like really like intense crucial characters from the series. Kind of go back, look at those. I usually put it in the description of which ones I do the crucial character picks for. And I usually throw them in there in the episode somewhere. But it's usually every other week right now. So it's like twice a month. Usually like the second week and the fourth week of the month. But yeah, so the only really major series, animated or live action, that I hadn't done yet was the Book of Boba Fett. I think that's the only one that I had left. I was kind of going through everything today, and I had skipped around a little bit when I got to the Disney Plus series and the animated series. Yeah, that was like really the only thing I had left was the Book of Boba Fett, and I picked a character that actually started in The Mandalorian. But I think I liked this character better in the Book of Boba Fett, and I think there was a bug that just flew by. I don't know where that bug came from, but anyway, but yeah, so like I like this character I think better in the Book of Boba Fett than I did in the Mandalorian, and I think this was one of the things that made even though it kind of took away from the Book of Boba Fett story. This is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people didn't like the Book of Boba Fett, because it felt like it started off focused on Boba Fett, and then it like went and told Mandalorian story for like 2 episodes. Um, so um, this was so I'm just gonna get okay. I was trying to think where I was gonna go with this first, but basically the character. Let's just go out there. The crucial character pick is Peli Motto from The Mandalorian. So yeah, Mos Eisley Spaceport, Tatooine. We remember her from The Mandalorian, but again, my favorite interactions was in the Book of Boba Fett when the Mandalorian returned to uh, to Tatooine, and needing a ship. Basically, we see him arrive on the ship on Tatooine. We knew that the Razor Crest was gone. He needed a new ship, and she said that she had a ship for him. She shows him the N1 starfighter, which he was not too sure about at first, because obviously the Razor Crest was a bigger vessel. Um, you know, she kept like kind of trying to put in his mind that this was the ship for him, but it was still not done yet. So he had to kind of help her repair it, which is that whole like all those scenes were kind of lighthearted and funny. It really took a different direction of Book of Boba Fett. I think that was like one. This is one of the reasons why I think um, so many people did not like that series. It's just it kind of went all over the place. Um, But if you really do sit down and watch it as kind of, it's got some good side stories to it, and this was like my favorite part of it was the Mandalorian part of it, with Pelimato, and Din Djarin's reactions. So um, I love the even like the beginning of the scenes when he's just arriving and we see the Womp Rat, um, and the BD unit and her like trying to save the BD from the Womp Rat, is so much fun. And then just Din Djarin like is just, it's just a great connection, and their relationship builds in this episode just like so much fun. So I love it so much. And then her like character talking Jawa, and then basically, saying that she used to date a Jawa, which was really funny. We get a little bit of, we learn a little bit more about what's under the Jawa cloaks, from her. So they're very furry creatures, as we've learned. But I just love her character. It's so much fun to like see how much she puts into selling the N1 Starfighter, which ends up being a really cool. I I don't know if I like it more than the Razor Crest. Like I love the Razor Crest fit for Din Djarin, but the ship itself is a really cool ship, and the scenes that are with the N1, going into season 3, make it a much needed change of a ship, with the dogfighting styles of Mandalorian 3, which made it a necessity. And again, I think like the purpose of putting these episodes in here was to kind of get season 3 started off the way it did without having to worry about the setup. How did Mandalorian get Grogu back? All this stuff, which is why I kind of liked it thrown into the Book of Boba Fett. It did change that aspect of the series, which again a lot of people were not happy with. But yeah, so Din Djarin caves in, says he's helping her with the modifications, um, and the Jawa interactions are just so great, and her speaking Jawa, and it's so amazing. Um, so that is my crucial character pick. I love her character, but I loved it so much more in the Book of Boba Fett. So and we saw her throughout that episode. Mandalorian at the end of the one episode, Fennec Shan comes to visit. He goes off, um, leaves Grogu with her, or yeah, leaves Grogu with her. No, Grogu wasn't there yet. That's right. R2 came in the X-wing with Grogu. Um, and then she delivers Grogu to Mando, um, climaxing at the end, which she kind of gets there with the at the very end, and brings Grogu into the end, which honestly makes her kind of a really important character, because if it wasn't for Grogu, the Rancor wouldn't have been defeated. So very important, that she played a big part in that battle, getting Grogu back to Din Djarin just in time to save the day. I love the when he first like opens up the N1 Starfighter, and once it's complete, learns how to fly it, seeing that it's different from the Razor Crest, has the other interactions with the X-wings again, which is a fun scene as well. But yeah, so really cool, fun character that was brought back from the Mandalorian to the Book of Boba Fett, kind of tying everything all together. Can't wait to see more from her. And yeah, I love her character so much. So it'll be good to see her come back, playing that character once again, wherever that might be. Don't know when we'll see Mandalorian next, when we'll see Tatooine next, when we'll see Pelimoto next. So We'll just have to find out. Wait and see, right? That is going to be it. That's going to wrap everything up there. Hope everybody is having a great week. I will be back tomorrow on my Instagram page, The Crucial Crew Member, so follow me there. We'll be doing Not Long Ago in This Galaxy as usual. And then next week, join me again for another episode of Space Oats Live, a Star Wars podcast, where we will talk about at least this 2-episode mid-season of The Bad Batch. 2 great episodes. So watch them so that you can join in for that discussion. I saw somebody pop in for a little bit. Don't know if it was somebody new, but excuse me. If you're watching this a little bit later, thank you so much. Subscribe to this channel. Hit those notifications so that when I go live, you can come and join in the discussion. Space Oats Live, Star Wars podcast. Until next time, remember, watch some Star Wars, listen to some Star Wars, play some Star Wars, read some Star Wars, do something Star Wars, but most importantly, remember, may the stars light your way. Have a great week, everyone.